Although they aren't really connected, I've always seen Dynamite Headdy and Ristar as counterpart games. And since I already attempted the no jumping challenge with Headdy's game, I figured I'd do the same with his limb flinging rival. The only thing I'd like to note before starting is that I'll be playing on normal difficulty, not hard or super. As far as I can tell, the only difference is that you have 4 hits on normal, 2 on hard and just 1 on super. I'm already attempting to beat the game under conditions it wasn't designed for, no need to sprinkle further salt onto the wound. Now let's start. Ha! No stupid puns this time. Oh darn, only a few seconds in and I'm already wondering if making it to the top of these ladders counts as jumping. Well, he throws himself off them at the top automatically without the press of a jump button, so I'm going to say it doesn't count. You quickly learn to appreciate anything he can grab and use to gain height during this challenge, such as these trees. The highest branch here is too high to reach from the ground, but never fear. By grabbing and headbutting his way up a wall, he can gain the height necessary to reach it. This has to be one of my favourite tricks at his disposal, and you bet it's going to be a big boon to this challenge. Next, these dandelion seeds come in handy. Grab onto one, swing around as they fly up and throw yourself a massive distance to the right. More branches to grab and swing from here, thank you very much for these. And here we have the first star handle in the game, which can be used to throw yourself even greater distances than a dandelion seed could ever dream of. And before I knew it, I was at the first mid-boss, who couldn't be much easier if he tried. It's perfectly safe to stand under wherever he goes and then grab attack him from below 3 times and he's done for. 1-1 is a success. It's nice to start off strong. On to 1-2. There are a lot of trees here, but the wall climb allows you to pass them just fine. Thank God they placed these ladder steps here to allow you to get up into the higher area. But ironically, it's not these standing tall and alive trees you need to worry about, it's the dead ones. After you've knocked this tree over and made it a bridge, you can't just walk onto it, nor can you climb it. For someone whose entire gimmick is centered around grabbing things, you would think he could use his hands to pull himself up this, but nope. I was 99% sure this had to be the first jump of the game, but I happened to discover something at the last moment. After knocking the tree down, enemies drop out in a random manner. I have no idea how it works, but one time, one of them happened to get close enough to the edge to hurt me, and with the power of damage boosting on my side, I was able to grab him after taking damage and climb up the stupid tree at last. I would have hated to have been defeated by something so insignificant so early on. There's another and similar tree soon afterwards, and even though you can drop to a lower area, progress is blocked off by spikes. You could probably get past it the same way as before, but rather than rely on such randomness, I prefer this. Use the star handle down here to swing until meteor strike status is achieved and fly right past the tree. This tree is different from the others and has a head, but you can get by it by swinging up from the branch directly below it. The trees in the dark area are no different from the rest. Get by them and the end will soon arrive. 2 stages in and no jumps needed so far. Now it's time for the first boss battle. Just walk to the right first to reach him. Oh come on, really? Why is there a lone gap in the ground here before the boss? What purpose does it serve other than forcing me to jump? I can't believe it. I thought my first time would be special. By the way, this is the jump counter, which will go up every time I have to jump. Unlike before, I'm going to try and see what's the fewest amount of jumps required to beat the game. Thankfully, the boss himself doesn't require any further jumps since he floats low enough to grabbing distance from the ground. I was a little concerned when he floated up higher after the first hit, but he floats closer to the ground before long, close enough for a whacking, and that's the first world down with only 1 jump needed so far, but in the most pathetic, painful way possible. Sadly, World 2 gets off to a poor start straight away with this annoying damn thing blocking the way. Let's not beat around the bush here, it's impossible to get by without jumping. Thankfully, after that you slam a wall and cause the level to fill up with water, allowing you to swim by stuff that you couldn't pass on dry land. Underwater isn't the issue here, it's when you need to go up to the surface that concerns me. Once again, he forgets he could use his arms to climb up a small ledge and getting out may require a jump. I tried wall climbing the wall on the left and then dropping to the right to reach it, but it's not close enough, and grabbing the ceiling doesn't help either. Okay, this is where it might get controversial. If you press a jump button underwater, he uses his arms to swim faster, and if used as you reach the surface, he leaps out of the water. Now you may disagree, but I'm going to count each use of this action as a jump, since you need to press the jump button to do it. If you do disagree with this, then simply subtract each use of it from the final total, because unfortunately, this isn't the last. It's required once again here. Luckily, the next and final time you have to get out of the water during this level, the wall on the left is much taller, making the wall climb a worthy endeavour. Now from there, go to the right, make sure to keep moving that direction during this drop, and you'll soon be at the mid-boss. Well, I say mid-boss, but it's more like waves of enemies getting washed up on the ground after trying to attack you. The important word here being ground. You don't need to jump at all in order to hit them, thus marking the end of this level. 2-2 involves a lot more deep sea exploration, which should be a good match for this challenge, but let's see. You do need to climb out of the water at this point, but the wall gods were smiling down upon me on this particular day. Sadly, the only time I found it necessary to touch the jump button at all during this level was here. The water current here gets very strong around every 10 seconds and pushes you way back. Without pressing the jump button to swim faster, it's impossible to reach the gap and avoid losing progress. But you can get there in time with just one press of the button, then to the propeller to destroy it. Well, one's better than anything higher I suppose, but none is infinitely superior. On to the second main boss. The whole place is underwater during the start of the boss level, so no forced jumping drama here, thank god. During the boss itself, every time you hit him, the water level drops. It is a little hard to avoid his attacks without being able to leap out of the water, but it's not essential. Okay, that's 2 worlds down and only 5 jumps so far. On to the next world. I've never realised how much I love watching this boss bounce around the room after taking a hit. The obligatory fire world. For the first part of this level, you'll want to avoid taking any damage as you'll need all your health for what's coming up. You must take a hit from these fires to grab onto the ladder during damage invincibility. The horrible flashing lava or whatever this is will hit you 2 times as it raises and falls. What a relief to find a blue star immediately after and restore yourself back to full health. Whoever put these ladders here, thank you, and ooh, do I spy another star handle? You need to use it to go meteor striking and skip this weird enemy launcher thing which I couldn't pass no matter what I tried. Drop down and then up this bar thing to get up this ledge and then prepare to hurry during the next rising lava section. If you're fast enough, you can grab onto each of the bars and get out of there without touching the lava once. Then go to the right, drop down a few bars to arrive at a really crappy boss. You need to hit the enemies in the order they appear, but if an enemy has an earlier order than the one he's directly above, then there's nothing you can do. You just have to pray you get lucky and all the earlier numbered enemies appear below. It looks like you should be able to grab them diagonally, but I tried, believe me. I managed to get them in orders that allowed me to defeat the first and second waves, but at best I needed to use at least one jump for the third and final wave. Bummer. Ooh, the next stage has a star handle at the very start. I used it to get myself to the highest point possible. A little bit of wall climbing was necessary and made it possible thanks to the magical floating bar near the top. Thanks to that nicely placed star handle here, I could get by that flaming enemy without damage boosting. There's a pulley device to bring you safely down to the bottom, but you can't get out of it easily without jumping. But thanks to yet another helpful star handle, you can grab it as you're falling and escape. Can I just put these things everywhere? Okay, up to the flaming walls area or whatever it's called. Wall climbing here allows you to reach the ladders. Everything looks fine and dandy up until the part with the multiple pulleys all lumped together. You can move them up and down by grabbing the cable, but there's only one way out of them. Taking damage. Get hit by a fireball coming out of one of these funnels and then direct yourself into the next pulley. Unfortunately, the next pulley is too high up to use this trick again, and if you drop below, you'll get trapped in a pit of fire and expire. Sadly, in the end, the only option I could see out of this situation was to jump. Thanks to yet another star handle, I was able to stay on this upper path, which was essential in the end. Let this little bastard blow up the ground when you're on it, and you'll fall down here and be left at the mercy of another little bastard. Once he blows up the ground and turns the ground into flaming pits, jumping is the only way out. But you can get around this by just barely walking beyond the ground here before it's destroyed. Then move next to the second detonator and let it go off, grab the bar above and try to grab the star handle below. Pull it off successfully and that's the level beaten with only one jump needed. The main boss isn't changed much by this challenge, just make sure to hit him as soon as he lands during the ground sections before he has a chance to attack. You can't jump at all during the falling sections, so nothing to say there. He might try to block your attacks when on the ground, but if you aggressively strike him over and over, you'll get hit in eventually. Aside from those 2 jumps, I'd say that world went over quite well overall. Oh no, it's that stupid level where you have to carry those stupid objects and give them to those stupid birds. This is going to hurt. At the start, you have to jump and chuck the thing to get it over the platform. And after that, the only way you can continue is to jump past the fan and grab the thing as you fall through the air. And when you deliver the stupid thing to the stupid bird, why, it's another tiny little platform you need to jump onto. Well, at least you can get the next thing out of this spike pit and then yourself by wall climbing. Oh great, another one of these platforms, and I can't even blame the objects I need to babysit when it comes to these. And no matter how much it looks like you should be able to grab the ladder from there, it's impossible. This level, man, I tell you, this freaking level. There's another fan I need to jump over. At least you can get up here quickly by grabbing each of the ladder segments, but guess what you need to do at the top? Oh, it's endless. Then you have to jump and throw it to get it beyond this thing. And the next bird is also standing on a little platform. That's another jump. Okay, on to the third of these dastardly things. There's another fan I need to jump over. Oh, I guess that was the only time I had to jump during that section. Aside from the bird's damn platform, of course. Grab the final thing as you fall down here, then use the star handle to get beyond the spikes without having to hurt yourself walking over them. You'll have to grab the bombs here and take damage. If you grab more during damage invincibility, even though he reacts in pain, it won't actually hurt him. This is necessary because you won't have the health to survive otherwise. Here's another poxy fan, but you can avoid jumping here by wall climbing up the door and grabbing a ladder. Shame the same can't be said for this one. Grab the ladder on the right here and also again soon after to avoid jumping 2 extra times. Deliver the final thing, then climb back up the wall on the left and drop down to the right, and this horrible deal is finally over. If this challenge was represented by a beloved model ship of mine, one with a few dents on it but otherwise in fine condition, this level would be a maniac who thought it'd be oh so funny to karate chop the poor thing into 2, leaving me a blubbering mess from both the splinters stabbing into my face and the emotional trauma as he, or she, laughs hysterically at the carnage caused. Oh, and the boss is pretty easy actually, don't worry about it. Is it just me, or does this bird have a really punchable face? Well, that was a disaster. Let's hope 4-2 will treat me better. No matter what I tried, I couldn't seem to find a way to get by these dancer enemies without taking at least 1 hit. Wait for the big one to chuck the little one, then attack the big one to clear the way. Oh dear, here's the first unavoidable jump of the level, the same kind of annoying platform as usual. Without jumping, getting past these electric guitars is tricky, but not impossible. Now how's this for a punchable face? There's another dancing enemy here, but it's fine if you have the health to take it, and another unavoidable jump. Thank goodness then that the next section is filled with loads of drums that send you flying into the air when you land on them. As a result, these parts are unchanged from usual unless you want to be pedantic and count using the drums as jumping. You'll want to grab onto the monkey bars here and try swinging from bar to bar to keep away from the spikes below. Or trumpets or whatever these are, I don't care. Phew, good thing there's star handles here or there'd be no way up that drum without jumping. With that near miss, the drums resume their good work and make the following part pretty much the same. I decided to go up here, which requires perfect movement with a single drum jump to reach. Make sure to have at least 2 health after these guitars, you'll need it to survive the dancer's attack. And it's the end of the level after that. Could have been better, could have been another 4-1. If you attack the stand when the 4th main boss is on it, the invincibility frames protect you from harm if you're fast enough. This is how I always knock him off it. Once he's flying around, wait for him to swoop down and strike. And if you do take a hit, you can restore your health with a star if the small bird gets to stay on the stand long enough. And that's another surprisingly easy main boss. All of the boss levels aside from the first have been beatable so far. No, you're kidding me. Oh phew, the stand is the MVP of this world. Uh-oh, it's the obligatory ice world now, and while I usually enjoy the atmosphere of these worlds, this one comes with a large issue for this challenge. The walls are so cold you can't touch them, making wall climbing impossible here. With so few options to get around aside from jumping as it is, this doesn't bode well. And not only that, you spend much of this level sliding helplessly in ice, many hazards forcing you to take damage. And yet, despite all these factors working against me, I was always able to find a way to progress somehow. For one example, this ice slide leads to what should be a dead end if there wasn't a treasure chest to grab onto here. Take the middle path from there to find a blue star to restore all health, which is timely. You'll need 2 spare hit points to step on these spikes and climb the ladders. Next, climb up here using the bars, avoid the enemy projectiles and don't stop moving once you're on these panels. It's nearly time for the mid-boss and I haven't jumped once so far. To be quite honest with you, I don't really know how to avoid grabbing the bomb and getting hurt here when I can jump. A snowball fight for a mid-boss sounds harmless, but this challenge makes it a bitch and a half. If he throws a snowball right at you, the only way to protect yourself is to throw your hands at it. But if you have a snowball on the ground next to you, you will end up picking that up instead and get hit. But as long as you hit him before he has a chance to throw one, you should be fine. Could it be? Yes it is! Finally, another regular level that can be beaten without a single jump. Let's hope this can continue. On to 5-2! Well, 5-2 starts off immediately with another dumb, impossible to clear without jumping platform. Nice! And as an underwater stage, the chances of needing to jump out of the water are looking likely. There are a few strong water current parts as well, but the first one gives you plenty of time to reach the hiding spot and get by. Well, here we are. Time to get out of the water, but wait. Perhaps if these fish are attacked at the right time... Yes, and there we have it. But after another passable water tunnel, it's time to get out of the water and there are no fish around this time. Get onto the middle segment of this snowman, then attack the wannabe Santa Claus at just the right moment to reach the top of the snowman's head. And now comes the first and hopefully last casualty of the unclimbable walls of this world. Anywhere else, you could climb the wall on the left and grab the ladder as you fall, but not here, though the gap between the two might be too wide anyway actually. Curse these missile puking frogs. Grab and hit the missiles before they land and create shockwaves along the ground. The only way past this ice slide is to jump near the end of it, and even that doesn't look like it should work. There's one more water tunnel soon after, and this one leaves me scratching my head in confusion. Unlike 2-2, you can prevent yourself getting blown back with the monkey bars. Believe me, I tried to do this in 2-2 and it didn't work there. No idea why it's a different story here. Not complaining of course, I just think it's odd. But just when it looked like this level would pass without anything too painful, my personal Waterloo arrived. At least you can avoid one jump at the end by grabbing the enemy up there, but... ooh, that stung! Couldn't just die quietly, could you, you nasty little level you? The main boss is mostly unchanged. Evading his jumps across the screen is best done without jumping, and you can chuck the soup into his mouth no trouble from the ground. The only additional challenge here is that it may be impossible to avoid the trash he chucks at you, but unless you're playing super hard, you should have enough health to survive. Not far from the end now. 6-1 starts off like so many others for some damn reason, with a small, must-be jumped platform. But following that is this tower of bars that appear or disappear every time you press the attack button. Walk over the gap at the top onto the bizarre device that makes you bounce like a drum in 4-2 and grab the monkey bars at the top. Now this ground makes you slide around like the ice in the 5th world. Grab onto the treasure chest here to escape. And then grab this treasure chest to clear the gap. Now wall climb up here, welcome back to this ability by the way, until you're at a ladder and use that to get to the top. You'll find anti-gravity shoes up here that allow you to swim past everything. I think I heard these shoes aren't in the original Japanese version. But this is where they stop working anymore, forcing you to make a pretty tricky climb up the walls and bars. When you arrive at the top, you can either grab the monkey bars above or damage boost walk to the right. Whichever you choose to do, there's a treasure chest with a blue star inside, restoring you back to full health. How convenient, because you need to take 2 damage to walk over the spiky ground and progress. But before dropping down the bar, grab onto the flying thing and try to grab onto all the others along the way. If done successfully, you'll safely arrive at the end and ready to take on the mid-boss. Nothing too difficult about this one. The boss flies around in many different ways, but all of them move close enough into attacking distance. I was a little worried about his final phase at first. He stays in the air chucking his cronies at you. But after he's done throwing everyone else, he himself goes flying towards you, which is the chance to hit and defeat him. Not a bad result for one of the last levels in the entire game. The final regular level in the game, and one that ain't too kind to this challenge. It's broken up into many separate rooms, almost all of which force you to jump to get onto a teleporter to get to the next room. It's required in the first and second rooms, but the third room is a bit different. Line up the platform like this, jump onto it, then when it's high enough, walk off the edge onto the teleporter. But it's business as usual in the next room. Room 5 eases the pain a bit with a star handle, allowing you to get to the teleporter jump free. No such luck for room 6. Room 7 is like the third room, only with more platforms and the same solution. Room 8 is the worst so far. You have to jump to reveal the crystal, jump again over the machine it goes into, and then again onto the teleporter. Climb up the wall in the 9th room to reach one of the spinning star handles. Use it to go meteor strike and try to land on the teleporter at the bottom. It may take a few attempts. Keep picking up and chucking the missiles in the next room until they hit the launchers to get rid of them both as threats. It's best done quickly or they'll fire another missile and there will be no way to evade it. But don't think you'll be somehow rewarded for making it through this gauntlet successfully. There's still a teleporter at the end and no option other than to jump into it. Avoid the falling enemies in this room until the crystal drops. Then after inserting it, use the star handle in the centre to get to the teleporter. Again, it may take a while. Another star handle in this confusing room saves the day. There's another one in this room, but with spikes this time, so that means limited attempts to get it right. And finally, another one in the final room to skip the launchers easily. Perhaps it's not too surprising the final standard level would be another of the disaster stages, but it's over now. Unlike other bosses, the main boss here throws things at you before the battle has even begun. You can't avoid them without jumping, but if you move as fast as possible, you'll only take one hit before arriving at the boss arena. Aggression is the name of the game again. If you attack the boss constantly, the abundance of invincibility frames surrounding you will guard you from any damage. So that's yet another boss beatable without a single jump. Once again, the star handle is just a mite too high to grab from the ground, but a little wall climbing will soon fix that issue. 7-1 or whatever this is doesn't really count as a full level as far as I'm concerned. Grab this enemy at the right time to get up the platform. If only they could have always been put on these things. The rest of the level can be completed by wall climbing, bar swinging and using the lone star handle. I think this is the only part of the game outside of bonus stages where wall climbing is necessary during normal gameplay. So with that out of the way, only the 2 final bosses remain. Much like the previous boss, you can avoid his attacks by simply hitting him and taking advantage of Flame Invincibility. The laser is a lot harder to do this with than the boomerang, but even after taking damage from those blasts, I still had enough health to win. Pretty pathetic for a penultimate boss. Only thing left now is Greedy, the final boss. The drone guns in the first phase will all eventually move low enough to get hit, and you can avoid their bullets easily enough by simply walking out of the way of them. Greedy will start moving and teleporting around the room, but he'll place himself in attack range a lot. The timing is tricky, but possible. When he throws orbs at you, walk back and forth to evade them, then hope you're nearby when he moves closer to the ground. His deadly black hole can be avoided the same as always, but hitting him in this phase is the hardest part. When he's about to teleport directly above you and attack, move to the right a little and attack upwards to hit him. Repeat this process a few times and he's done. So technically, every boss in the game can be beaten without jumping. Let's just not focus on that one stupid part during the first boss level, please. Well, I'd obviously prefer this to say 0 jumps, but I can't say I'm unhappy with a mere 46 across an entire platform game. Also, I haven't played this game nearly as much as Dynamite Headdy. As such, I'm not quite as confident if all of these jumps are impossible to avoid. But for now, goodbye!
Hasta la vista, baby.